Alright guys, so Fulu with another video. Shout outs to the whole LDBC. So in this video, man, I kind of want to talk about the advantages in which Canelo Alvarez will enjoy every time he steps into the ring. The thing is that if you and people like Erislandy Lara, people like Billy Joe Saunders have said that in order to beat Canelo, you have to knock him out, basically. That there's no way that you're going to actually get a decision against Canelo. And I happen to agree. And, you know, these recent comments from the WBC press like solidified these claims. You know, this article was put on boxingscene.com. I mean, in this article, man, it says that you know, this and this is straight out of the snake's mouth. The WBC press said that you know, Canelo will be our franchise champion. And for those of you guys who don't know who the WBC press is, he's Mauricio Suleiman. And you know what Mauricio Suleiman has said is that, you know, he's going to receive a special designation from his organization. You know, he says Canelo is a boxer who has crossed all borders, and that is why he will be named as the franchise champion of the World Boxing Council. The details weren't given, but what it has said is that, you know, that in the future the exact information will be given, you know. And so basically, I don't know myself what's going on and what the implications of this title means. Now, Suleiman, you know, the crazy thing about this whole thing is they said that that the sanctioning body will stake a special Mayan belt for the upcoming fight. So, like, what this means is, like, if this is true, this means that they're basically adding another belt in order for sanctioning fees to be collected. Now he's saying that, you know, he's happy how everyone can work as a team to make these champion against champion fights, because that's what the public wants to see. And, you know, there was a time, man, like, I mean, you just got to look at the history of the WBC and Canelo. I mean, when Canelo got popped for Clenbuterol, or whatever the name of that thing is, you know, the WBC came out like in with guns a-blazing, man, trying to say, oh, you know, Canelo's innocent, he didn't do no wrong. If it was tainted meat, it was tainted meat. He didn't do anything, you know, he was within the guidelines, this, that, and the other, man. And then, you know, you remember the time where Canelo, you know, what happened is, you know, there was a time where the WBC, and this is probably why they're not trying to enforce this mandatory title defense against Charlo, this probably has a lot to do with it. Um, there was a time where they were trying to enforce a mandatory versus Golovkin. Okay? So Canelo was like, you know what, forget this, I'll vacate this joint, right? And so what they did, um, is they like came to an agreement, and then, you know, now it seems like they're just kissing his butt. And, you know, it's sad, man, because what this basically means is that, like, for example, when Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo, I mean, maybe I could have gave Canelo like 2 rounds at most, but for most of the fight, dude, Floyd did his thing. Complete masterclass. Okay. And now you have in that fight, I don't know how a judge had it a draw. Like, how did the judge have it a draw? That's what I'm wondering. Like, why did the judge even have it? There's no way that judge could have saw it as a draw. No way in hell. Okay. Now, when you look at Canelo, he was so eager to rematch Floyd Mayweather, so eager to get in the ring with him again, so eager to say that, you know, that Floyd Mayweather fight wasn't really a loss, and that he would rematch him, and that, like, you know, it seems like every other fight that Canelo has, he's mentioning a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. You know, but the way that Floyd Mayweather boxed him, there's no need for a rematch. It was just very convincing who won that fight, right? Now, what I will say is that, I hate to mention this, I really hate to mention this, but many people, of course, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, many people thought Erislandy Lara won against Canelo. Many people said, yes, it was a close fight, but I had it for Erislandy Lara. When a rematch was asked about, Canelo said, no, I don't want to give him a rematch. He has to learn how to fight first. So, since when is a guy landing more shots on your head not fighting? When is that not fighting? You know, I'm just trying to understand that. Now, fast forward onto this Jacobs fight. I have to say I agree with everything that has been said before, that in order for Daniel Jacobs to win this fight, he will either have to knock out Canelo or he'll have to stop Canelo. And I really don't see those two things happening. Even if he were to somehow, some way put on a boxing clinic against Canelo, the treatment from the WBC, although they have nothing to do with the judges directly, convinced me that they have no intention on giving Daniel Jacobs the fight to win. And let's keep in mind that Canelo is a weight bully, okay? I mean, previous fighters have said that he rehydrated to 180 pounds. Like, I mean, Miguel Cotto said that he rehydrated to 180 pounds. Amir Khan said he rehydrated to 180 pounds and stuff like that. So with that being said, you know, it's kind of like hypocritical for him to add a rehydration clause into that. And then mess around himself and come in overhydrated, basically. You know, and this is something else that's telling too. The IBF does not enforce a rehydration clause, but Golden Boy put a rehydration clause in it, right? And then when the intention was put on them about having a rehydration clause, you had Golden Boy Promotions come out and say that, you know, we didn't put a rehydration clause in it, that was IBF who did it. So this tells me a whole lot of things that, you know, Golden Boy is trying to pull a fast one, you know, and trying to give their fighter all of the advantages needed, including the judges, right? But this is what I will say. Nobody is doubting that Canelo is a hell of a fighter. Nobody is doubting that Canelo is a very, very good fighter, an exceptional fighter, right? Nobody is doubting that. But we're doubting if he can do this on an even playing field. Okay? That's what I'm doubting. Now, this is going out to also my fellow Cape Verdean cohort, Mr. Dimitri Andre. If you fight Canelo, bro, you have to really make a statement, because, I mean, the way they're doing Daniel Jacobs, you won't be exempt from it, bro. They're going to do the same thing to you. So you have to be prepared for it and have game plan A through Z. Because from reading this from the WBC and, you know, the past experiences that fighters have had facing Canelo, I would 110% agree that, you know, with the words of Erislandy Lara and Billy Joe Saunders. Keep in mind that another thing that plays a part in this is nationality. You know, I'm sorry to say it, but it does. You know, you can't just take one without the other, you know. And so that's what it comes down to, you know. I mean, let's say if, for example, they would have gave Erislandy Lara the fight, right? Against Canelo, the victory against Canelo. This would have repercussions in the larger community, because, you know, I'm going to just keep it a buck, and I'm going to keep it a stack. You have a very large contingent of Mexicans who don't like other Hispanics, okay? Yeah, you know, I've heard, I mean, even walking, talking, conversating with my friends, who, because if you know me, you know that I I fucks with the whole Afro Latino experience pretty heavily because they mess with me basically. You dig? So I've heard Cubans, my Cuban friends, my Puerto Rican friends, my Dominican friends, my Venezuelan friends, my Ecuadorian friends, my Salvadorian, Honduran friends say they have all said the same thing, that a great majority of Mexicans think that they're better than the rest of the Hispanics and that they treat the other Hispanics with contempt. So with that being said, if another Hispanic were to come along and beat Canelo, like Erislandy Lara, then this would do something to their pride. This would do something to the way they walk around. I mean, you even had people, you even had Mexican fans afterward harassing Erislandy Lara's wife as if she had anything to do with the fight. And that's the same thing, with Mikey Garcia. I hope this doesn't happen, but you may have a contingent of like Errol Spence fans, then you may have a contingent of Mikey Garcia fans who blindly follow him based on nationality, who may go at it head to head at that fight because it's in Texas and you have big communities of both black and Mexican there, But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck. That's just the way I see it. That's just the way I've observed it many times. And so, basically what I'm saying is that, at the end of the day, Canelo is a boxer who not only has a nationality behind him, not only has a promotion behind him, but he even has now a whole governing body behind him, a whole sanctioning organization behind him. So for those who do fight him in the future, you better be ready to have to go out there and stop him. I guess this could be looked at. You gotta, I mean, I guess you have to see the good in every situation. And hey, maybe this situation means that fighters will go into it knowing what to expect and having the necessary things needed to be able to carry out the stoppage or the knockout. Maybe this can work in the favor of a fighter. But that's all I got for now, guys. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. I'm John Rama.